Are live. Thank you for everyone joining us today. I'd like to welcome one of our newest leaders in AMN, Adrian Robles from West Coast University. Tonight he's going to kind of talk about what led him into nursing and kind of give a little background in his leadership and also what he has envisioned for the West Regional Committee. Welcome, Adrian.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And as many of you may have noticed, my partner in crime, Michael Ward, is not with us today. We gave him the night off. As we all know, he's got a little baby at home, and he gave his wife a little time to go out with her parents and kind of take a break. And so doing daddy duty, and it's very important. So I told him, go do it. You need to take that time too. So we're gonna have fun, just Adrian and I today, and hopefully all of you guys that are coming on. It looks like Ian Solidaris is here. What's up, Ian?
Hey, Ian.
Before we get started, I want to quickly talk about announcements, and I'm going to go very quickly because we've got a lot of talking to do with Adrian. So again, our town hall is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should have received an email with a chance to register. If you have not, I will post it on Facebook here right after the broadcast so that you can still register. You can register tomorrow all the way up to, I think, a couple hours or so prior to the webcast. We are going to really focus on the conference. And because this is the last time we're going to have a town hall before the conference, our next one's actually going to be in October, which will be a report out from the conference. So we're going to talk about tips and tricks. If you've never been to a conference before, how to get there, how to do all those things, as well as what is different from our previous conferences, because this is going to look brand new. And I mean it. It's not that we just have different sessions. The whole aspect of it is going to be brand new, be very interactive, very high tech and technology driven with innovation. And we've got some great speakers starting with, if you don't know the name Dr. Susan Hassmiller yet at this time, you should, because she was very integral in helping write the Future of Nursing report for 2020. So very excited to do a keynote with her, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Adrian, you're coming, right?
Absolutely. Us over here in Ontario, we've already been talking about it, and we're super excited. So you're going to have a presence of West Coast University students out there.
Awesome. The other things I want to quickly touch on is that if you haven't contemplated yet, either of yourself or someone else in the organization for any of the national awards yet, please do so. We want to highlight all of you out there. So go onto our website. I've been posting on and off of each award, kind of telling you what they're about. I have one more to post, and that's the Emerging Leader Award. That's for a young individual. I believe, off the top of my head, I think it's within 4 years of you're either a nursing student or within 4 years of graduating and practicing, and are doing great things not only for AMN but more importantly the nursing profession. You can nominate yourself or nominate someone for that award as well. And that'll be the first year that we hand that award out. So we're very excited about that. The deadline, I believe, is mid-August. But please, if you're thinking, it's not a huge, ordeal to fill out. It's very simple, very straightforward. All the directions are on our website under the award section, which is, I think, under the About tab, if you're navigating the website. And then quickly, conference October 4th through 6th. Now, you may want to consider coming on Wednesday or not. We're really encouraging all of our leadership to get there early so we can, prepare. But at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. on Thursday, Vitas Healthcare is going to be doing about a 7-hour session on opioids and palliative care. It's free. There's CEUs involved, and they bring in national experts to these sessions to talk about these controversial issues. So if that's something that you're interested, I would highly encourage you getting there on Wednesday evening so that you're ready, because I know I would not be able to get there by 8 a.m. even from Nebraska. So even if I flew, so I would greatly encourage all of you to do that. So without further ado, let's get into I'm going to call it an interview, Adrian. This is more of an introduction of coming out as a leader in AMN. So Adrian, tell our members that may not know you as well. What was your prior life like before becoming a nurse, or before going into nursing school? Because you're still pursuing your BSN and you're getting so close. But I joke with you when I first met you. I was like, man, I think he's a nurse already, and how he carries himself. Maybe that's from your prior life, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so before nursing school, I actually was a United States Marine for 8 years. I was in the infantry. I was actually based out of 29 Palms, California. From 2004 to 2009, I was in and out of the country as an infantryman. So we went to, I was with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marine specifically, but we went out to Iraq twice and Afghanistan once, doing counterinsurgency operations. I thought I was going to make it a career until I started seeing that there was a lot of issues going on with our veterans coming back. The suicide rate, just in our battalion alone, at one point, the New York Post, not New York Post, I'm sorry, the New York Times has done 3 articles on just our battalion, saying that we were one of the leading units in the military that had the highest suicide rate. That's very disheartening. So that changed gears for me. And I wanted to go to school. I wanted to get out, go to school. I wanted to learn more about it, find different ways of trying to stop the increase. I found myself at Cal State Fullerton, California State University Fullerton, or University of Fullerton. And I was there until I started working at a psychiatric facility close by my house. And then I started realizing, I'm like, hey, I see what the psychologist is doing. I see what the psychiatrist is doing. I see what the therapists are doing. I see all the roles that I was looking at eventually what career path to go into. And then I saw the nurse, and the nurse was there all the time, the whole time, and nothing moved forward unless it was the nurse's, say so. Pretty much, it was on the nurse. The nurse was on that. They were in the center of the crisis. They're at the center of the friction. So nothing could move forward unless it was the assessment of the nurse. So I thought, wow, like they do a lot. And I really had a great respect. And it really broke the stigma that I had, honestly, of men being nurses. And I don't know I know we had talked about it before, but, in the Marines, people would say, yeah, I'm going to be a nurse, whatever. People would kind of scoff at that, being a male nurse. And we would always go back to the Meet the Parents movie. And we would say, oh, yeah, we'd toss out a few lines from Robert De Niro. And, and now all these years later, wow, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, this is an amazing profession for men and women alike. So I changed gears. I started talking with several different nursing programs, but I just wanted to get it done. So I ended up at the doorstep of West Coast University in Ontario, California, and I talked to them. And within a month, I had my schedule in hand, and I was ready to start classes.
Wow.
So now this is about a year or so in the making, and I've learned so much of the nursing culture. And the professors themselves are just so enthusiastic about, more men being, in that nursing role. Even our campus at West Coast, Ontario specifically, because we have 5 campuses nationwide, 3 in California, 1 in Dallas, 1 in Miami. So we at one point last term, 10 weeks ago, we were the highest enrollment of men out of all the 5 campuses. We were at about 25% male enrollment.
Wow.
And now we are neck and neck with the Anaheim campus as well. So we are so there's more men coming through the program, and it's really great to hear. And it's awesome. And so now I'm doing this, and I've acquired many mentors along the way, pointing me in the right direction of eventually becoming a nurse practitioner and a psych nurse practitioner.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say that it's hearing your story, and and there's still a huge need for
Right.
all nurse practitioners, let alone nurse practitioners in the psych specialty. And so I think your background just gives you a perfect, unfortunately perfect, but taking your experiences and being able to be right alongside those individuals who come back, from war, or even having a traumatic event, locally, unfortunately, with all this domestic crisis that continues to rise, you've been there, done that. You've been shot at. To the best of your extent to actually get close to what they may be feeling, because you've experienced many similar, experiences yourself. So I think that's absolutely amazing.
And I just wanted to add that, going with the whole, one of the objectives of the American Association is that, we're trying to help out with health that relates to men specifically. And this is a huge thing because we have men that think that it's a stigma to go and seek help. I can say that specifically within the military community. Everyone's like, nope, I don't want to go see the voodoo doctor. I'm good. I'm fine. But really, are you fine, though? Because there have been many times that we would have to intervene and help out. And, I always tell my buddies whenever they're kind of casually throwing it out there to see how I would react to them going to therapy. I said, dude, it's great. It's amazing. We all need a recharge. We all need a reality check. We all need to kind of refresh the batteries. It's all well and all good. And I would tell them, like, if you need somebody to encourage you to go, I'll text you, I'll call you, I'll be there. So it's absolute, mental health is absolutely a huge thing. And we should all focus on that before going to work. I mean, that's why they have PTO. That's why they have sick days. We all need that day where we're like, hey, you know what? I just need to step away so I can have a day to myself.
Yep, take a personal day. They call it personal day, but it's really mental health day.
Yeah,
it's really, to me, that's what it is. It's get away, and for men, I find it much more. And we'll get moving on, but I think we could talk forever on this. This is something I have passionate about too. But using the word share your thoughts, not share your feelings. I've had a lot more success with my male patients to say, hey, what's your thoughts on this? Tell me a little bit more about that. I don't even use the word feelings, because as soon as you use the word feelings, I don't like doing it. Like, I shut off, I'll be honest, and I need to stop doing that. But if you use it in a different route, and it's not trying to trick somebody, it's society ingraining in men's heads that it's weak to do so. And so we got to just change the way our angle approach. And I think, we can be much more successful. So tell us a little bit more about West Coast University. Where obviously it's located in Ontario, California. I mean, tell us, because a lot of us may not know where Ontario is. But then also, you just went through the process of starting your own chapter. And I think it's a great opportunity to let the other members out there that are thinking about starting a chapter or reestablishing a chapter, what went well, what didn't go well, how was, what aspects from national and helping out, what would you like to see more from national? And I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So Ontario is actually, we actually have a airport. If you don't fly into LAX, you'd either fly into Ontario Airport, John Wayne, Burbank. There's a couple others, but so Ontario is about 30 or so miles east of LA. It's in the suburbs. It's off the 10 freeway. Can't miss it. And it was. It's actually one of the newer schools that we have within West Coast University, and because it started with LA and then Anaheim and then us. So recently, for the chapter, it's been over a year of us setting up and trying to strategically plan to establish the chapter. And so it wasn't really hard. Actually, I made it harder than it was. I started reaching out to my fellow colleagues, my fellow peers, and saying, "Hey, you started this club for CNSA, and I was asking, how did you do it?" And they said, "Well, I'd reached out to the leadership of the association, the national association." So I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna shoot an email. I'm gonna start shooting emails." So I emailed, I think you, or I emailed the info email on the website, and then you and Ian shot back with actually in a good amount of time. It was actually really quick. And I was like, "Oh, wow, I'm impressed. You guys really, care about us establishing this thing." It took a lot longer on the West Coast University side, just because they wanted to make sure that once we start the chapter, I always tell my friends, I hate calling it a club. It's not a club. It's a chapter.
It's not a club. Yeah.
Calling it a club. Here we go. I reached out to my administrators and I asked them, "Hey, how are we going to start this? Like, what can I do?" So Michelle Meitner, she's the director of career services at the Ontario campus for West Coast University, and me and her, we were kind of coming together once a week just to try to figure out how to establish this and how to go about doing it. Because kind of going back before, we wanted to set up a model at like a pilot at Ontario, and then we would set that model and start spreading it over to Anaheim, LA, Dallas, and Miami. So we wanted to get it right. So that's why it took a little longer than it should have, but we got the okay. Actually, I believe in April, and then really we're just waiting on us to be officially recognized by the national organization. And then when you shot me that email saying, "Hey, you guys are official," I was screaming. And then I was like, I got on the phone with Michelle, and I blew up her phone, and I left her a lengthy voicemail saying, "Hey, we're official, we're official." So everybody was excited. And then it was right on the tail end of beginning our second annual Men in Nursing event, which Michelle started that last year, and that was what brought me to think, "Oh, wow, there's a national organization for men in nursing. I didn't know this." And that's where it started.
And that's kind of the common theme. Everybody doesn't. I mean, there's so many people out there that Mike and I talk about this all the time. You go to talk to them, and they're like, "AMN, what is that?"
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" That is one thing that's got to stop. We've got to get, and that's where I think this whole social media platform stuff and awareness, we're on that journey. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do, but I think that's half the battle. Is you guys were doing great stuff already for men in nursing, but yet you had no idea that there was a national organization that helped support that. So I'm so glad that someone had directed you in that direction to come and have it. And I remember I was having this conversation with you, and I think Michelle, maybe Jennifer was on the phone.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, and I was standing outside, and I was walking, and I was going to get my hair cut, and you called. I was like, "Oh, Adrian's called me," and and it's so loud, and I felt so bad, because I'm right by the hospital. There's like ambulances driving down and everything, but I could tell you guys everything that you were telling me, all the timelines, everything was so well organized. It was. I'm like, you guys turn your stuff in. I guarantee it. You're gonna get recognized.
Oh, and that's another thing. You brought up another a good point. We wanted to make sure, absolutely sure, that this wasn't just a guys' club. That we wanted, both genders to be a part of this. So I purposely went out and I asked Michelle. I'm not Michelle. I'm sorry. I asked Jennifer Tate, which is one of my fellow nursing or classmates, and I asked her. I was like, "You got a lot of initiative, and you're a tough cookie. So would you mind being my vice president for this organization?" And she just looked at me. She's like, I'm game. Let's do this. So it's been great. And, honestly, it makes the difference, because when we were doing the second annual Men in Nursing event, people were coming to the booth and they were asking, well, so you guys are a club? I'm like, yes, we are a chapter. And well,
correct them on the verbiage. Correct them on the verbiage.
Let me correct you. So there's a few ladies that would come around and they're like, oh, okay. You could tell that they lost interest because they thought it was just for guys. And then I said, well, hey, you know what? My vice president's actually female, and we're doing this together, and we need collaboration from both sexes, and so we can do this together. And they kind of like, oh, really? Okay. So then they signed their name and they came to the first meeting, and they're all excited about it. So it's really just kind of breaking the mold and just letting people know, hey, you can't have one without the other, really.
Yeah, this is not about, hey, beating our chests and saying you need more men in the profession. This is saying, hey, we need parity, just like any profession. And we know other professions are so successful because of that parity and that diverse angle of approach that, men and women take to their jobs. And and it makes everybody stronger when there is that parity. And so we need just as many females as we do males in this organization, so that we can actually achieve that. And that's why, again, I think it's so great to not only perception-wise, but you do have a very strong individual in Jennifer, and I'm very excited. It sounds like she may be joining you possibly in Milwaukee as well. So I'm excited to meet her as well.
I told her to go. She doesn't have say something better.
She's gonna have a fun time when she meets Mike, myself, and Ian, Kyle, and the rest of the crew and leadership, as well as all the members out there. She's gonna be like, "This is fun."
Yeah.
This is not at all what I was expecting to go to a national men's club. It's not that at all.
She is not afraid. Trust me.
And I want her to tell me if it feels like a club. I want her to come straight up to me and tell me that. It's not going to.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about this crisis center that you work with. I think this is such a cool, example of our members doing something not only in this organization but outside this organization as a male in the profession. Explain what this crisis center is, kind of what role you play, and kind of how it affects or impacts the LA metro community there.
Absolutely. So, being a nursing student, because I'm not yet licensed, I'm always looking for going and learning from diverse populations. We're going to have to treat everyone, mind, body, and soul, for the nursing model. And I thought, for the last 2 years, I've been contemplating trying to work for this company. It's called Crisis Response Project. They actually started up in the Bay, and then they trickled down this way. They're already going to be opening up a few more teams all the way down to San Diego, they're thinking. And so what the Crisis Response Project is, they are vendors of the regional center. The regional center is very unique to California. These are centers that are distributed throughout the throughout the state, throughout the counties, I meant. And they are specifically tasked out. Their caseload is for developmentally disabled, intellectually disabled, and a lot of those consumers also have comorbidities of psychiatric issues as well. So what role we play is that it costs the state money to put these consumers on holds, on psychiatric holds when they go into crisis. And really, a lot of the crises that we see are not, they should not be taken to the hospital. It's really manageable, and all it really needs is further education and someone to be in there to listen with an empathetic ear and to just talk with them. And we have been very instrumental in reducing the rate of psychiatric holds that have been placed on these consumers. Because let's just face it, someone with on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, someone that has Down syndrome, someone that has Willie-Prater syndrome, and they go into crises, the system isn't really set up in the psychiatric inpatient setting to really care for these individuals. I mean, it's a little different when you're dealing with somebody with a developmental disability. So
Yeah, and I will tell you, so many times, or at least the ones that I've rotated through and everything, it's a kind of it's either a cookie cutter approach where everybody does the same things, which does not even. And I'm not an expert in psych, but I can still tell you, as a critical care vascular nurse, that is not appropriate. As well as many times you don't have the resources for how diverse mental health is and how we don't completely understand it. When I don't know if we ever will completely understand it.
Right.
That's to be determined. But you many times don't have the resources. But what you speak to, I completely agree. A lot of times, even when people come into the hospital for another ailment, but their mental health is contributing to that, whether it be a chronic illness or something something similar. Just by listening with that empathetic ear that you talk about, you'd be so surprised on how much that helps.
It really does.
And sometimes we lose track of that. Especially when I was in a surgical ICU, it's boom, 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 admin after admin after admin, discharge. There's days where you're so busy that if you don't keep yourself focused on that part, you miss the signs.
Yeah.
And that people are struggling mentally, not just physically. And so you make a great point in that. And I think, are you going to be publishing? Are you guys doing anything about, because it sounds like you're making a really big impact. I would encourage you to publish these results about this model so that the rest of the country, can hopefully maybe make a lasting impact that, not only help the most important part is helping these individuals, but also reducing costs elsewhere so that we can help others in other areas because we're not spending so much money when it wasn't necessary because we just weren't following, an efficient model to help our communities.
And I've been talking with the leadership about that. I think they really want to, but right now they're just worried about, making sure that we have enough people to go out there and get the data that we need, because we do stats on like the amount of 5150s that we prevented, which are the psychiatric holds in California. And so also I specifically wanted to work in South Central Los Angeles because, it doesn't matter if you're from Nebraska. It doesn't matter if you're from New York. Everyone's heard of South Central LA. And honestly, it doesn't really, I think that people kind of they inflate it for what it is because of, the history there. But honestly, I deal with a lot of diverse, just a diverse group over there, and it's great. It's great to be there, and the people there are just so they're so amazing, and they're so resilient, and they teach me something every day, every time I go out and respond to their homes, because I'm actually responding to their homes and delivering intervention, crisis interventions there. So it's just an amazing job that they've set up, and I want to actually continue as a nurse once I'm licensed to somehow still work for that company, because it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you so much as not just representing nursing, but now representing AMN and that work. And, we can't be more proud of you in that. And so I wanted to end, because we're coming up on time. But now that you're in this new leadership role, this has been very fast for you. You have not been part of the organization very long, but to me that means nothing, because you can tell, if people out there are listening, you've been a leader for a very long time, though it may not be in AMN. So you bring a lot of good, fresh and new perspective. And where do you see that fitting in? Do you have any type of vision, even though only being on the job for maybe a little over a week? And I wouldn't even call that a week on the job yet.
A day.
A day. I was like, here's all the paperwork. Look it over.
Right.
And we'll meet you. We'll see you next month. Where do you see the West going? Now, you and I have talked. The West historically was strong in California. As of late, that has kind of dissipated. We've always struggled to get out to the other states, just as geographical, as well as diversity in areas. and the needs and the percentage of men going to these to nursing school or practicing, it just makes the West very unique, even more than between Midwest, South, and Northeast. Where do you see that going? What do you have any, rough concepts or ideas at this moment, to maybe impact that in a positive way, to get people together and start growing the West? Because I know, especially California and along the coast, and then we're realizing Nevada, and Nevada's really strong as well, and Arizona's starting to reach out now. So it's there, but we've got to get over this hump. And I didn't know if you had any ideas or thoughts on that tonight.
As soon as we talked about it the other day, where I'm like, hey, did I miss something? Like, I'm now the chair of the West. He's like, yeah, you said, I thought we already talked about this. I said, yeah, but I thought that it went through a process. And, I was excited because I just didn't want to, assume that I was already, after our first initial conversation about being the region chair. But I started thinking ever since that phone call, and I was kind of contemplating, like, okay, well, first we need to establish that the presence of there's a point of contact on the West. Also to offer just complete access, just immediate access to information, and letting them know that I'm always available to keep in contact with. Also just support, really. I mean, it's kind of like I always go for the keep it simple. Let's go back to the basics, and just let's establish that rapport, and knowing that that I'll always be there. Hey, if I don't know an answer to a question that you have, I will make sure that by the end of the evening we will get this figured out, and to have some, just ongoing connection that way. Also, I do travel a lot, so I'm always up and down the California coast, and I'm actually going to be making my way up to Washington soon. So these are great opportunities for me to actually go boots on the ground and meet these people face to face and let them know, hey, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And let's start increasing the numbers.
Absolutely, I think it's a great thing. People don't realize is, I take that back. I think people are starting to realize how transparent and available all of us are.
Yes.
And it's technology. You shoot me an email. My goal is to at least acknowledge you within 24 hours. And I know this, Adrian. It's usually way less than 24 hours. But I might be busy. Everybody has very busy lives, so you'll give that 24-hour period. And obviously, many times I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna find it and get back to you.
I think it kind of goes into a little bit of the intimidation, because when you are wanting to reach out to someone as high up as the president-elect of the American Association, there is a little like, this guy's so high up, he's probably never going to have the time of day to talk to me. But when I was like, whatever, I'm just going to send the email. What's the worst he can say? Like, probably nothing, right? Well, when I sent the email, I was just so blown back that, oh, wow, he actually answered my email and he wants to talk. He's setting up a time to talk. Like, this is great. And so ever since then, the speed in which we were communicating with each other from question to answer was just great. And it gave me a lot more encouragement. And I feel like that's what we need to keep and maintain throughout the organization, especially on the West Coast, to let people know, like, hey, hit me up. I will definitely acknowledge you.
Yeah, and Ian, he's already given you some help here from the Northeast. He said, now I may not, I'm going to put this name, Hariano Cruz. He is actually in the Western area, and he can get you some contact information. He wants to get him involved. He seems like he'd be a great leader to help on that regional committee when you start establishing, or just help you out, because I'll tell you, as this grows, it gets difficult to do on your own, and you shouldn't be doing it on your own, because this is a shared governance organization. So we'll help get those individuals to you. But I think right now, there's 6 of our chapters. It's manageable right now as we get the core crew together to figure this out. I think that's kind of great place for you to start, and it's very manageable. So
guess what, Hadiano Cruz, I'm going to be harassing you. I mean, encouraging you here soon, so we can connect and build on this.
Perfect. So one last question before we go.
Okay.
So again, we're a volunteer organization.
Mm-hmm.
If someone asked you why you spend so much of your free time, in your busy life and outside your job, to take on such a big leadership role within AMN, and they ask you this because they were contemplating whether they should be involved in a professional organization or not, what do you say to them? What stirs your passion to do what you do, and make you very similar to all of us that push this organization forward, to encourage them to possibly come into the family as well?
Well, so going to nursing school full time, which is in itself is a full time job, as well as being a program coordinator for South Central Regional Center for the Crisis Response Project. The reason why I do this, and I accepted it with just open arms, was it's just to be able to help each other out, really just to encourage each other to move forward. In the military, we had this thing. It's not about the political agendas that people might think it is. It's about the person on the left and right of you. So to be able to bring each other up and move forward together as a team, this is the reason why I give my free time to pursue something like this. And money is money. It comes and goes, and it's you can't take it with you. So that's never been a motivation to participate in a great organization like this.
Well, perfect. And I know I feel the same way as you, and I know so many out there that are listening or will listen to the recording. It's why we're here, and it's to do something bigger than ourselves. Right. And that's that I call it legacy work. I mean, I think there could probably be a better thing, but it's about when you're at the end of your career or at the end of your life. It's not about how much money you got. It's how many people you impacted.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right.
That's the wealth that comes with a valued life in my mind. And so I thank you for being here. I'm excited. I know the rest of the crew is excited for you to join. Come meet him and all of us at the national conference. People are gonna get sick of me talking about the national conference, but I'm serious. It's gonna be so much fun and so inspiring. And never know, you may walk out of that conference with another position, just like Adrian got one. So we have all these great things. We have the opportunities for you. Please reach out. Please engage. And this is all about, like Adrian said, on the left and on the right. We're a team, and we aren't going to accomplish anything unless we're all engaged and all doing something. It can't be done by 5 people. So come join us, get engaged, and we'll see you next week. I will be on my anniversary trip. So I'm telling you in front, I will not be here. Mike will be here with our next guest. We haven't hammered that down yet. We're hoping to get another nominee for the board of directors. So stay tuned. Adrian, thank you again. It's still light out there. It's dark here. and we'll see you later. See you on the Nurses Station, everyone.